Okay, I'll call this June 26th meeting of Dog Board to order at 6 p.m. Please be on speaker now for the public. Neither of you were here last meeting, or you weren't? Okay, have you reviewed the minutes?
I have.
I just got them.
Would entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes from the
I'll
previous
second.
meeting.
Okay. Minutes are approved.
I think you gotta do the
Public
vote.
participation items.
You have to do the vote.
Yep, okay, a vote for the minutes then. All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed? Okay, it is carried. Public participation. I see no public in the
Overwhelming.
building.
It's overwhelming as usual.
Yeah, so. Well, move on then, I guess, to new business, livestock claims. Have we any?
None.
No livestock claims is always a good thing.
Yes.
Dangerous dog reports.
None.
Very good. Lee, would you like to fill us in on the animal control conference?
Yeah, the Oregon Animal Control Conference for the state of Oregon, all the animal control and humane agencies will be September 10th through the 13th at Seven Feathers. And we will be learning how to testify in court. So there will be, we would like to see some veterinarians and vet techs go, just so that they can be prepared. We will have a mock court on Thursday of that week where we will have trials and people will be assigned as defendants, assigned as witnesses, and hopefully they'll get an idea. We have David Terry as the public defender, and so that ought to be interesting. And so, and then we'll have Jake Kamens as the prosecutor, and he's the lead prosecutor for animal cruelty in the state of Oregon, so.
Randy was too busy. Randy Johnson was too busy to participate.
To be public defender?
David Terry and Randy Johnson in the same court with.
Yeah, actually, we're not for sure which one we'll have at the exact same, it'll depend on if they have a court case at that time. But we will have somebody from that.
Choice, okay. I'm just being snarky.
And is there any kind of invite out to the vet clinics to let veterinarians and technicians have awareness?
No, but we could probably put together something. I'm sure that Deputy Kirk could put together a flyer and drop it off at all the different clinics.
At least to notify the office managers that something's available.
It's valuable because we've had a couple of the veterinarians who have on their first time had to go straight up and testify, and not knowing what a public defender is gonna ask you, or how to maneuver around what they're asking you, can be very helpful, so. And that would include, Saving Graces, I know they're notified of it, because they almost always end up testifying since that's where the animals are normally stored. So, we would like to see people who maybe some of our volunteers could be called upon too, so those people we would like to see, you know, show up and hopefully that will help them.
conference cost to attend?
There is a conference cost. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I know it includes a trip through wildlife safari with guided people that work at wildlife safari, and also there's a banquet, and that's all included in the cost. And then there's also a catered event at wildlife safari that's included in the cost. I think it's gonna roughly run about $200 for the 4 days. But if they only want to attend one day, they can do it a la carte, so.
No charge for just going to the meetings during the day.
Not if you were a member and you're a lifetime member, so.
But I mean, there's some of the other volunteers that aren't members, and they wanna come and see particular items.
Yeah, they may. They would have to contact us so that we could figure out how to include them in on the county sheriff's department.
Sure, that'd be good.
I guess we'll move down to Bill for the environmental report.
Alright, so far this quarter, we've had 85 total animal bite reports. And again, that's not just dogs, it's dogs, cats, goats, bats, rats, whatever they go to the hospital for. We've had 3 animals set in for testing. 2 cats and 1 bat. 2 of the tests come back so far negative. 1 was sent out today, so we won't know till probably Friday. And we've sent out 16 lost animal letters so far this quarter. The other thing is we received a call of a horse who possibly might have rabies, bitten by a bat. The bat that they caught was killed last Wednesday and buried, so it cannot be tested because it's too far deteriorated. And the horse was put down yesterday, I think, yesterday. And as of yesterday, the owner did not want to send the horse in for testing because it does have to be decapitated, and they didn't want to do that. So we don't know if we're gonna actually find out or not if that horse actually had rabies. It was being boarded at a farm, but we do not have the name of the farm, but we do have the name of the owner of the farm who emailed and called. So they called us, they emailed Douglas Public Health Network, they called animal control multiple times. But right now, there's nothing really we can do because there was no human contact involved. So.
I think the other thing was it was shot in the head
Yes.
to be put down, so that would nullify.
Unless they missed the spinal column, so we won't know, so we're gonna keep an eye on that, see if there's any more issues coming from the Winston area. And then we'll go from there.
As well as with that, they didn't seek veterinary care within that time frame. The horse was already laying down and they couldn't get it back up. They thought the most humane way they could do it for it was to put it down. So.
Well, certainly, when there's first contact with suspected bat bites, letting people know that you need the bat. Cause yeah, they buried them, they've thrown them into the burn barrel,
Or turn them
Whatever.
loose.
Yeah, they called us Monday because they put it together on Sunday that it might have been a bat. And so by then it was buried for almost 5 days and unfortunately.
Yeah, they didn't unbury it until they started putting 2 and 2 together with it. And by that time, it had already been buried for too many days. As well as it did not bite any of the people that were present.
And the Oregon state epi knows about it as well, so we sought their counsel.
So hopefully in dealing with the horse while it was down, nobody was overly subjected to saliva and such, because if the horse were actually positive, and that's how we get exposed.
that was one of the owner's concerns. However, they did seek a medical professional's advice on the matter. And they were given an answer that led them back to the health department.
Okay,
So.
yeah. Thank goodness they're few and far between.
Excuse me, I just walked in, I'm sorry. I'm guessing this is a possible but unconfirmed rabies bite on a horse.
From a possible but not confirmed bat.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. My name's Janine, I represent Umpqua Kennel Club, so that's why I'm here.
Welcome.
Just
You were here at a
curious.
previous meeting and
Yes.
introduced yourself to us, so thank you.
We'll pass that on to our club members, most of our dogs are not all vaccinated.
All right, we'll move on to the fifth item, animal control stats.
So with the animal control stats, we are still in the process of creating a new format for keeping track of the individual stats. With the new system, we even tried again today to be able to go back and look at those individually. And we were unable to pull up any of the prior calls directly. So we have a guesstimate of the amount of calls, which would include domesticated animals, livestock animals, and any phone calls animal control related. So for myself, I have about 358 animal control calls related. And Deputy Mark Dowdy, which is the second animal control deputy, has about 574 animal control calls related. So between the two, we're not able to right now see individually whether it's for dogs, dog bites, or anything like that.
Is that second quarter or is that since the first of the year or?
That's from the last meeting.
April 1st to today's date.
No major increase. We're still having a pretty steady amount of dogs and livestock that we have been. We've had a slight increase of dog bites. That's generally because people are just more out in the public, walking around, whether it's a dog running loose or anything like that. But we have had a slight increase of bites, I guess, being reported.
And anything else on the stats? Number wise, I don't have the past numbers to compare as to how much up that is from last year average.
We were roughly handling 3,400 to 3,500 calls a year, so that's right in the ballpark.
We'll have a better idea, I think. Obviously Kathy was leaving and I'm coming into it, so I'm gonna try to do whatever we can do to get a number going, but we have two different systems to work with, so it's kind of challenging. They don't really like to work together, so figure it out.
Of course, the best would be to see that there's a downward trend. Keep track of them. All right, the sixth item on the agenda, election of new board chair. I thought we had John for a good long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, John has indicated that he would prefer not to be the chair for the next year.
Well, I'd be happy to nominate Lee Bartholomew as we come into the new year,
I'll second that.
new board member.
I guess you can say all those in favor.
All those in favor, aye? And aye?
And I. Any opposed? You'd be the one to
Doesn't
speak
matter.
up, so,
Doesn't
okay,
matter.
looks
It's
like
not
it
a
would
democracy.
carry that Lee will be our new dog board chairperson, starting with our next meeting. Which, do we wanna set a date for that at this time?
Tentatively, we just put 3 months out, September 18th. Anybody else?
18th?
Yep.
I don't think I have anything to interfere with that yet, so
No,
sound good to me.
report on the OACC conference as well.
There we go. Any old business items to come back before us?
kinda curious about the deposition of the dog issue that we had when I was here at the last couple of meetings. About the fellow that wanted to keep his dog. You remember that, who that was?
That was Deputy Kirk can probably give you a follow-up on that.
So if it was for the adult dog and that puppy, and
Right.
they wanted to keep the
Down
adult
on the
dog.
Briggs Ranch.
So to my most recent knowledge is the puppy is still working with Saving Grace. The person who was supposed to come and pick it up had never done that. And we couldn't make contact with those people to come and pick it up, so it also could not return back to the original owners. So Saving Grace had taken that and put it for the adoption portion. As far as the older dog, we've gotten calls recently about dogs in the similar type to that one. So I'm working with one of the neighbors to identify if it actually is the same dog that is continuously getting out still,
Oh, so it's still getting out and running around and
potentially, yeah.
biting people.
But he was altered.
Yes, he did get altered, before returning to the owners. And so we haven't received many calls regarding it. However, this week, one of the neighbors did call in saying that he's been out almost every single day and charges up to people. And it's still an ongoing issue, so we're trying to confirm that it is the same dog, and then we may be right back in here.
Is that 2 strikes and you're out?
Well, last time we deemed it dangerous, and gave them,
Parameters to meet in order to keep the
that they had to
dog.
keep,
And so,
which they had been following, and now that it's being reported that they may not be following that, we will have to impound the dog back.
Thank you.
item I'd like to bring up for discussion, concern, the feral cat issue. And the public's lack of things to do with feral cats. I'm getting reports from veterinary offices of all kinds of atrocities that people are doing to cats because they feel they don't have other options. And just wanted to bring that up for you animal control officers to be aware of. And then things have changed in the last 2 decades with how Saving Grace would handle cats, and maybe that needs to be reviewed as a part of county participation in supporting. They used to be an outlet for the feral cat problem, and they've chosen not to be an outlet for the feral cat problem. And now I'm hearing of a lot of abuse to animals out there. Eating them, throwing them in the river.
The majority of, I guess, the reports that come through to us, from my end of seeing it, is that most of them are neighbors threatening to do those kind of things. And every time we've gone and followed up with them, we can't find any kind of poison that would have been placed, or they're calling and saying that their cat's missing. And then we give those reports as well to Saving Grace, for missing animals. That way, if somebody does call in or arrive with them, they know who the owners are. But just generally, it does fall a little bit more towards Saving Grace being capable of receiving those animals. Cause I do know that they are pretty overstuffed with them right now. There is a group in Portland, I do not know the name of it, but they have been known for coming all the way down into our county to assist with some feral cats. But
Spay neuter programs.
Yeah. as a spay neuter program.
You know, it's just distressing to hear that animals are going through abuse, and we know that the tie-in between animal abuse to human mistreatment. So just,
For any reports coming from veterinarians, I personally haven't seen any of them getting called in to us from veterinarians. So if you do talk to them, that is something that we would like to follow up on.
if you have the opportunity to talk with Kitty from down in South County, Countryside Veterinary, she has expressed some situations that happened down in Canyonville, Myrtle Creek area.
So what is Saving Grace's obligation to the county's funding of their programs to take care of cats?
They are required to take dogs from the public and from the county. But there is nothing in there requiring to take cats unless it's for a cruelty case or an animal by quarantine, something to that effect.
So where they used to accept
Strays,
drop-offs,
yeah, strays.
because they become overrun, they've discontinued that. There was a period of time that there was a drop-off fee, and because they end up with more cats than they can find homes for, they don't wanna be a
They don't wanna
euthanasia
euthanize.
center,
Which
so.
they've always been anyway.
It plays against funding that they apply for, so, yeah, it leaves us with not an option.
And to my current knowledge, they are still receiving sick and injured cats. So if one gets struck by a vehicle or gets attacked by another animal, they will still receive those and attempt to give them care. More often than not, if they are just an outright stray animal that they're not able to handle very well, they'll try to give it as best medical care that they can, but then they'll try to return it back to the area that it came from.
Well, I like it to at least get bounced around for some discussion, communication, because I even know our neighborhood just has a lot of cats.
Yeah, I think every neighborhood in this county.
Yes, every neighborhood, every rural road, everybody feels that their road is a drop-off point, but it can't be the whole county's the drop-off point.
Question about this. I've been to Oregon, just kind of a recent addition to Oregon from the last 4.5 years. From Reading area. You're saying Saving Grace does not have any kind of a trapping for feral cats, neuter, spay and.
No, that went by the wayside probably the year before COVID hit. They had a grant from Best Friends and they were able to do it for 5 years, and it did seem to show improvement as far as the amount of feral cats that were in the areas where they were working. But since that time, as you well know, cats populate much like rabbits do. And so even 2 years after they quit the program, the increase was starting to be noticed and probably is worse now than it was before.
Okay,
Looks like you're maybe supposed to put a motion in for the next meeting date.
right,
You said 19th of September or something?
September
do we
18th.
need to vote on that, September 18th?
18th?
The last minutes read, so.
Okay. So,
I would make a motion that we accept September 18th as the next board meeting.
all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Next meeting's on the 18th. Okay, any other thoughts or concerns to come before us? Then I will call this meeting adjourned at, I guess it's 6:24.